man. Yeah, that's tough. I've had stuff like that happen.
Well, we think about marriage. Marriage is good. Finances we covered. We covered important stuff like that. We've covered a lot of important things, man. I really do.
Yeah.
All right, tell me this. If I had to come to Barry and say, what can you do? What makes Barry happy? I'm not talking about ministry.
Right.
What makes you happy? What do you enjoy doing?
I love to fish.
Okay.
I love to hunt. I have a workout regimen that I do every day, and that really helps me mentally. That's some hobbies that I have, the fishing, the hunting, that. But what I really love doing is eating. I'm at my happiest when me and the kids and Carlene go out of town and we eat. Like, I love going to Dollywood. I love going to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. I tell people that that's my little version of heaven. And I've had people make so much fun of me.
Right.
You know, people's like, Barry, there's Las Vegas, there's Disney World, there's Disneyland. And you're telling me there's just always been something special. Me and Carlene got married in Gatlinburg.
Right.
And we did a lot of our dating in Gatlinburg. So it's always been a special place for me. So if you tell me, Carlene, the kids, the grandbabies are going to Gatlinburg and are going to Pigeon Forge, and we're going to get to spend some nights at a hotel. Right. And man, I'm happy. I like going to the lake. I don't have a boat, but Jake's wife's family does, and that's even better.
That's even better.
That's even better.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
I like doing stuff like that. Just anything with my family. I love to sit with a good friend. Like, I'm not just saying this, just sitting down and talking to you. I've got this one good friend. I was just having a bad time. This was a couple years ago after Mama had passed away. And Carlene snuck and called one of my best friends, Bobby Adkins. And she said, you need to come to the house right now. And it was already like 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday night. And I was just down. I was in the mully grubs. Right. And he just sat on the couch. And we just began to talk. And we began to talk about, you know, what was on my mind. But we also began to talk about funny stuff we had done. And I can't explain it, but I felt better. I felt better. And I was able to preach that Sunday morning because I was down in the mully grubs so bad that night. I didn't know how I was going to be able to get up and preach that Sunday morning. Right. And just the conversation. I love to have conversations with good friends.
I enjoy it. I enjoy people. What do you like to eat at Dollywood?
At Dollywood, I don't know the name, but they're like the big hot dogs, the German hot dogs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I love it when they do the Festival of Nations. Right. And my mouth's watering. Right. My mouth just literally watered on camera.
You ever eat the beans and greens?
Yes, I have. I love that. I love that.
Okay, let me tell you a story, okay? Because you'll realize who you're sitting next to. All right, the beans and greens, I went to eat there, it's been a while back, and they come out with the cornbread that used to be in the big pan, the big cast iron skillet. Right. Well, they come carrying these little old corn fritter things out to me on the plate. And I said, hey, what's the deal? They said, well, that's what we're serving now. I said, in America? Right here at Dollywood? Yes. I said, what about the big cast iron cornbread? Nope, no more of those. I said, well, So I got my camera out and took some pictures of it. Went back home, went on the Dollywood site, started posting. I said, what has America come to? Is it that poor? Are we in that bad a shape that we can't have the cornbread no more? And I shared this. And just shared it, and I went on Dollywood site, and I tagged Dolly herself in it, and I tagged everybody. Dollywood, went all their passes, went on, tagged it all. Had 3,000 people respond. Man, it was everywhere. Okay, and then some people were a little upset because they said I said, listen, here's the deal, the cornbread is gone. Right. So the VP of Dollywood contacted me and messaged me and said, John, I want to talk to you. We've seen what you said, you know. And we'd like to rectify it. And I said, well, there's no sense in us talking. Right. If you ain't going to change it, why do we want to talk? Right. Well, so he gave me his number. And anyway, so we messaged back and forth. He said, John, I spoke to the culinary staff and we've made the change back. So that's awesome. Everybody's eating cornbread in Dollywood should say, thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
You should pray over your meal, but then at the end say, thank you, John, for the cornbread.
That's exactly right.
And I was so glad that they done that corporation. Right. They heard and they come back and responded. Right. They didn't just blow us off. blow off people. And people began to run. They said, we love that cornbread.
Yes.
And I know it's a simple thing, but I mean, and I found there's such a power when you come together.
When you come together.
Now, man, this thing out here is dangerous. You can come together over good and bad and say, hey, you know, what about this?
Oh, yes.
And there's something about it.
But that, to me, that's using it in a positive way.
Exactly.
There's this restaurant we like to eat at in Gatlinburg called The Peddler.
Right, I know it.
And they had this, it was called Christie's Chocolate Cake.
Okay.
And it was like ambrosia. It was like God. It was what manna tasted like.
Right.
They changed it after us eating it for 5 years. They changed it. We weren't social media savvy, but we just started complaining.
Right.
And they said, you are the 5th complaint we have had today about this.
Right.
And so the next time we went, you know, we were a little bit disheartened, thinking they had changed it back.
See,
they had changed it back.
You got to make it known.
Yes.
Okay, because those businesses are about making money. And if you start as a customer, you start saying, and other people feel the same way in that thing. But anyway, I wanted to throw that in and get a plug in for me, because the cornbread is there because of my sacrifice. Okay, if I've never accomplished anything in my life. And I went back and took pictures of the cornbread, posted it, thanked them, thanked everybody, said, here's what you know has been done. Thanked the Dollywood staff and thanked all them. And
That's
I said,
awesome.
And he took screenshots of that, shared it with his staff, you know, about how, but I think you should let them all know.
You owe Brother JohnDash a big thank you
for the
out
cornbread.
there.
Pray over your cornbread and thank the Lord, but then say thank you, John, at the end of it.
That's exactly right.
We always enjoy Dollywood. We enjoy going, and you know, seasons in life. You know, we're as you grow older. Well, if I make it to 80 years old, okay, I've got 5,745 days left. That's what I've got, because I'm 65 now. And the Bible said, teach me, Lord, to number my days.
Yes.
And I think if we see it in that point, instead of seeing 20 years or 10 years or what I've got in 5 years, if we look at those days and think of how important, and we're always trading our days for something.
Yes.
We're swapping and trading. We're either trading your day for a car, you're trading your day for a house, and everybody's always trading. And but I think Janice and I are at a point in our life that we got a new motorhome that we keep. It's got almost 60,000 miles on it now, but a lot of times we don't decide where we're going till we get to the end of the street where we live.
Right.
And we say we're going 40 or 77.
Right.
And because at this point that we're at, we got grandkids, but it's each other. I really like to spend time when we talk about marriages and us, me and her.
Yes.
Because what happens is after the kids leave, it's you and her.
Right.
Okay. And sometimes you got to get to know each other differently.
See, I heard that a person told me one time, and it shook me to my core. I was young, much younger then. He said, but when the kids got up and moved out of the house, he said he looked across the living room at his wife and said, who are you?
Yeah.
You know, he might not have said it verbally, but he said it inwardly, because they had become strangers. Yeah. Because of all that. And that was one of the great things about me and Carlene being with the kids through. Another thing I did, Pastor John, and this is not to toot my own horn in any way, but both of my kids still come to church, and they're still, I mean, they're rotten, they're rascals. Right. You know, you got to watch them. But I never said, you're a pastor's kid. Right. I would say, hey, you're my kid. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I never put that pressure on them of being a pastor's kid. And I saw people try to put that pressure on them anytime they would be a kid. And people would come to me and I would say, they're a kid just like your kids are kids. And so I never made church a dread for them. I never wanted them to see the ministry as something that made their lives miserable. You know, so I let my kids play sports. I let them be kids. I let them be kids. And it developed a closeness with us and with Carlene, you know, going back to that season. There was this time when every night of the week, either Grayson had something or Jake had something, or we were in church, and we were just always together. And then when all that dissipated, the season changed, me and Carlene said, what do we do? Yeah. Because we complained about it when it was going on. We complained about it. And then after it was over, we were like, man, I kind of wish we was rocking like that again. Yeah. It makes sense. I know what you're talking about. You know,
Halloween to go to tomorrow night. Take grandson to go with him to Halloween. And after we go, and the kids wonder sometimes what we do, because we can have all the kids at home for dinner. I cook a lot. I've done a cooking program this morning, but I cook. I love to cook now. But I mean, I can have them all over for supper, and we can eat, and it'll be 6, 7 o'clock. And finally they'll leave around 8, and I'll say, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And I've got 50 gallons of water in the camper. We go out and we'll leave.
Right.
At 8, 9 o'clock at night, we'll leave and hit the road.
Yeah.
And we'll wind up in Bristol, or we'll wind up in Knoxville, or we'll just take off going. And
awesome.
Because it's that season,
Awesome.
in life. And I think you got to recognize the seasons, man. And if you don't, you'll be standing out in the snow in a t-shirt. You got to recognize